Hello everyone, I'm Eric from Sports 365. Here with me once again is my colleague Alex. So, 2023 NBA free agency is officially underway. A lot of deals have already been agreed upon, although contracts can actually be signed until tomorrow, July 6th. So, with that being said, a bunch of updates pertaining to the Miami Heat, so let's get right into it. So first of all, starting off with what's been the biggest story for the Heat in this offseason, that being potential trade for Damian Lillard. So Lillard has been adamant about wanting to be traded to the Heat. He doesn't have a no trade clause, so doesn't have as much leverage as someone with one would have. But he has apparently so set on playing for the Heat that he might actually just sit out and force the team to trade him to the Heat if he's traded to a team other than the Heat. This initial trade. So, despite the fact that a lot of people, there's skepticism about whether he could offer a trade package that would be acceptable. I think, given how adamant Lillard is about joining the Heat, I think probably will end up happening, given that added risk of trading all that for someone who doesn't want to play for whatever team requires him if it's not the Heat. So, what are your thoughts on Lillard being so adamant about joining the Heat now that affects the situation for the Heat?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lillard joining the Heat is the most likely outcome. But as you said, I'm not sure the Heat could offer a package that the Blazers would accept initially. I think this deal might take a while. I think the Blazers might try to get a massive package, but they might not be able to get the package they want, even though Lillard's a great player due to his age. So I think in the end, the Heat will be able to get a deal over the line.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think it's not just about his age. Lillard's also had some injuries recently, and obviously at his age, he's still making a massive amount of money. Even though he did just have a fantastic season, doesn't really seem to be declining yet. So yeah, as far as the Heat's trade package, I think they could still put together a good trade package for Lillard, and I think Pat Riley will make sure that the Heat don't get fleeced for Lillard, that it's a fair trade on the Heat side, from their perspective. There are other teams interested in Lillard, of course, but trading for Lillard is already a risk given his recent injury history, given his age, given his contract, and I think him being so adamant about wanting to join the Heat will eventually make that a reality, because I don't think a team is really going to want to give up a massive amount to trade for Lillard if he doesn't want to be there, given the fact that there's already risks involved in trading with Lillard, and that would be an even bigger risk that, you trade away all that for him, and then he'll get there and be like, okay, hey, great, this is where I want to be traded to the Heat, and just force his way out like that. So given that fact, yeah, I think the Heat will acquire Lillard in trade. As you said, I don't expect it to be a quick process or anything, but I think that's what will end up happening given the circumstances. So the Heat made a couple of trades and also had one player leave in free agency. Gabe Vincent joined the Lakers for a 3-year, $33 million contract. Heat traded away Oladipo to the Thunder and got a $9.4 million trade exception and undisclosed draft compensation. As a result, he also moved Strus to the Cavs in a sign-in trade for a future second-round pick. He opened up more cap space by doing it. The Cavs are going to sign Strus to a 4-year, $63 million contract. So definitely some more changes on the Edmond Heat roster, which is you know, something I expected given what we discussed already. What are your thoughts on those players moving the Heat through, really through all the trades?
Yeah, I mean, Oladipo seems like he's pretty much finished anyway. And we can probably sign a decent player with the exception. Struess, I'm fine with him leaving. He was pretty inconsistent. I kind of wish we would have been able to keep a hold of Gabe Vincent though, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, going through them one by one, as you said, I think, unfortunately, I think Oladipo's in the last stage of his career, his NBA career. He still has the talent to play in the NBA, but he's had so many injuries. Getting a bit older now, had so many injuries, fortunately, in the past couple of years that it's understandable why he would trade him away and open up a roster spot for someone that he might be able to count on a little more because maybe who knows what Oladipo's going to look like after yet another injury. Losing Gabe Vincent is a little tough, but to be honest, like Struess, Vincent was kind of inconsistent as well, and $11 million per season doesn't sound like a lot given the Heat's cap space situation. Kind of was a lot, and it's more than they could really offer him. So I'm fine with that as well. And Struess also was inconsistent, and $63 million over 4 years is too much for Struess. That's just not a number that he could match. It's not a number that he should have tried to match. Even if they did have the cap space, it was too much money for him. So at that price, signing trading him is perfectly fine. So I'm okay with all those players leaving the Heat, given these circumstances. Well, it would have been nice if the team were able to keep hold of Gabe Vincent at least. So moving on from player departures to some players joining the Heat. The Heat have made a couple of moves. They re-signed Kevin Love to a minimum contract, which is what I expected on his minimum contract. Added Josh Richardson on a 2-year veteran minimum contract, which was a bit unexpected. Obviously, the Heat drafted him in 2015. He played for the Heat from 2015 to 2019 was the centerpiece of the Jimmy Butler trade in the 2019 offseason. So he's back on the team. He also added some depth at center by signing Thomas Bryant on a 2-year, $5.4 million contract. I think that's a really good contract given what Thomas Bryant can produce. So I like all those moves from the Heat. I think those are some good additions, and bringing back Kevin Love, I think, is also one because he's pretty old, but definitely contributed a good amount last season. What do you think of the Heat's additions and also re-signing Kevin Love?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy we re-signed Kevin Love on a minimum contract. He did contribute more than enough to be worth that. I'm also happy that we re-signed Josh Richardson. He's a good player, and it's kind of sentimental to see him come back to Miami, of course. And Thomas Bryant is, he's a decent backup center. So I'm happy we were able to sign him on, a cheaper contract than I thought we'd be able to.
Yeah, I like all the moves in general. I think, bringing Kevin Love back is good. It's really just a matter of money for him. If he was willing to accept a minimum contract, it was pretty much all he could really afford to offer him, but he was. So it's good to see him back. Josh Richardson trading the Heat was not something I thought was going to happen. There's been some rumblings for a few years that Richardson would come back to the Heat, and reportedly Spoelstra actually convinced him to come back to the Heat and sign 2-year veteran minimum contract instead of signing bigger contracts with a bigger contract with a different team. So yeah, good to see him back. Who said, kind of sentimental, but I definitely do think he can still contribute. And Thomas Bryant on 2 years, 5.4 million is definitely a good deal. I think he's definitely worth a bit more than that. It should definitely be a good backup center. So it's good to see he shore up their center rotation because, I mean, no offense, but Thomas Bryant is a definite upgrade on Cody Zeller as the backup center. So yeah, I like all of it as well. So there you have it. That's the situation in for the Heat. Some players left, some players came. As happens. Free agency here, definitely not running it back, and still aggressively pursuing that Damian Lillard trade, which I think will happen eventually at some point in the offseason. Given how adamant Lillard is about joining the Heat, so hopefully he can get that deal done, and then we'll see what they do over the rest of the offseason.
Yep.